এবার করুণা করো বৈষ্ণব গোসাই এবার
Okay, Didi. What's your name, Didi?
Janaki Dasi,
And where are you from?
Belgium.
And how did you become a devotee in 10 minutes?
It took more than 10 minutes. Okay, so
Loudly.
I'm starting. Okay, I grew up as a Catholic religion, and just, the usual traditional, you get baptized and then you go to church with your mum, and it was interesting, but there wasn't so many, not so many answers. It was just all, mostly, yeah, you do this, you do that, rules and regulations, but not really like much information about the why and how and what's behind it. So then when I became a teenager and became like, I don't know, you start questioning life. What's life about? What's going on? Why are things happening in life? Why is there so much suffering in the world? Or what's the goal of life? The main question I had is like, what's purpose of life? Why do we live? Is there a purpose? Is there a God? No, I'd never asked really if there is a God. I kind of somehow just knew that he was there. So then at one point, one of my friends, he was in his last year of high school, and they used to visit different, they were studying different religions, and they would visit like different temples, whatever temple, church, or mosque. They would just to, as a field trip. And so for Hindu religion, they had gone to Radhadesh, which is the ISKCON temple in Belgium. And when he came back, he was fully, pretty much fascinated is not even the word. He was like completely enthusiastic about everything that he'd seen there. Not so much that he was like going to run away, but he was just constantly preaching to us. Right. Like he was reading all these basic small books of Srila Prabhupada, and then the only thing he would talk about when we would go out on a Friday or on a Saturday was all these things. And it's like, yeah, but Prabhupada says da 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 da. And so we thought it was a little bit scary, because we all figured the Hare Krishnas were pretty much a cult, as that's what everybody believed at that time. So I, at that time, was in my first year university, studying sociology and political science. So introduction to political science, we had this class, and it was discussing the different levels of, levels of power in society, like as for politics. And so it had like, I remember it was like 5 different stages, and the lowest would be like you just have a tyrant, somebody who's like it just has a lot of physical brute power, strength. Either you follow that person, or they'll just kill you, or beat you up, put you in jail, whatever. So people think, okay, that's great. And then the highest form of power was that the subjects, those who are subject to the power, don't realize that they are actually subject to the power of somebody else, and they just think, this is my desire, this is what I want, this is the subjects become so controlled by that person that they make that goal their own. So that was a Friday, like my last class on a Friday or something. So then I come back home, and we all go out in the weekend. And then we're discussing again, of course, Hare Krishnas, and then he goes like, it's not like they have to do all these rules and regulations, It's like the people, they don't have to do that. They really like it. They want it. So that was like...
You just saw all that completely brainwashed.
Yeah, totally. So it was like a big red alarm bell going off there. It's like, this is like a dangerous situation. This is like, we thought he was gonna like stay with us for another 2 months or something, and then he would like just take off to India, and we would never see him again. Yeah. That was our fear. So then I decided that if I start too much arguing, then he's gonna just like push me away. He's go like, oh God, I can't deal with these people anymore, you know. So I thought, okay, let me pretend that I'm interested. So I'm gonna be interested for now. And so then, I became interested, and I also got some books, and I also started reading and everything. And my idea was just that I'm smart enough. I'm gonna look at this very critically, and then if I see something that doesn't like make sense, then instead of going like this is wrong, I could just go as a friend, being on the same side as him, like, hey, I read this thing and it looks really. I mean, there's something really not right here. What do you think? So, yeah, well, we got tricked by Krishna there, didn't we? So instead of finding big, loopholes in the philosophy, I found a lot of good answers to a lot of questions I had. Mostly also like somehow I figured out, or I always had the idea like the goal of life has to do with serving God. And so, but previously, I always thought like serving God, that was something that like nuns do in a non monastery, or like priests and stuff. And I really didn't see myself become a nun. So it was kind of like a question for me for a while, like how do you do that? Like how do you serve God if you not going to be a nun? Yeah. So, but then came along Swami Prabhupada, and it's all about serving God, and it's all about how you can just organize your whole life around service to God. And you didn't have to be a nun. You could just do it in any place in society, wherever you are, with any position you are, you can do. So that I thought was a really attractive feature of it. And just the fact that it was all talking about it. And everything just made sense, karma makes sense, reincarnation makes sense. I was answering all the questions, like why is somebody born in Africa and somebody born in whatever, America or Europe, Well, if God loves everybody equally, why does that happen? It's like why so many things. Like if you have heaven and hell, it's like oh, it's pretty heavy, It's like you get one chance, and then you go to either heaven or hell. You get purgatory sometimes for a little bit, but still, then afterwards you end up either in this place where it's all bliss, or in this place where it's pure suffering, and that's then for eternity. It doesn't make sense, That doesn't sound like a loving God to always, Anyway, so, and then first time we went to see the devotees was also Radhadesh, and it was a summer festival. It was really weird, because all of a sudden, we were reading these books and stuff, and then it was kind of interesting, but all of a sudden you see these people wearing dhotis and saris, and it was really, strange. Anyhow,
it had an impact, huh?
Oh, sure. But mostly it was the books, I find. The books, and we hated prasad, by the way. The first few...
You didn't like prasad?
No, absolutely not. The first few years we would run away when they would start serving prasad. And we would always have the excuse, that we have to catch our train, and then they want...
First few weeks?
Years.
First few years?
Yeah, like the first 2-3 years.
You go to this temple thing.
But the thing is... It was always, it looked kind of weird. It was like kind of this I don't know, mushy, like kind of weird smelling, weird tasting things, and we didn't know what it was. And plus, keep in mind, we still were, at least in the first time when we went, 100% sure that they weren't putting something in the food,
So who is this with? You and your friends?
There was always somebody that would come along. So it was usually 2 or 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, depended. Like I said, my friend, he was always preaching to everybody, so there always would be somebody that would come.
So you started going to the temple regularly over the course of a few years?
Well, not really, actually. Yeah, kind of. I went
several times.
Yeah, first time we went was a summer festival. The next time we went happened to be Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, like Nandotsav, which we of course didn't know. So, but then, and I don't know. The next time again, it was a festival day. We just handed. I guess Gurudev was building up our Sukriti. Somehow we always ended up at some special holiday, festival day there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And then I started, because obviously my parents weren't so much into it. So then instead, when I would go to, in the week I would live at the university campus, and on the weekend I would go to my parents' place. And so I would start going, normally I would go Monday morning to campus, but I'd start going Sunday evening. And I wouldn't tell them that I was going to the temple first. So I first go to the temple, and then they had these train cards, like you get 10 train rides for a certain amount, and they would buy that on top of my living money, and so I would use that to go to a different place. And then, and then from there I would go on.
When did
the change? Which change?
you transformed from this skeptic investigator?
Well, it happened pretty fast. I mean, by the time we went to the summer festival, I was already kind of really into it, and especially also I really liked the kirtans. So the kirtans really like Maha Mantra is like it made a big impression.
So what was it that changed your mind? Just you found all the answers?
The books, the philosophy, and the kirtan. I think those three things, and yeah, pretty much that was. And I don't know. I mean, the second time we went back, the Mandotsav already got a mala, and like 2 months later, I was chanting 16 rounds. I guess I'm just a fanatic. When I find something that I like, I just go for it. Yeah, that was great. 95.
95.
Yeah.
And when did you meet Gurudev?
2000.
Yeah. 2000.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So after 5 years in visiting temples in ISKCON, well, ISKCON actually was the thing that you, unless you lived in a temple, you were not able to take initiation. At least in Belgium it was like that. In Belgium, Holland, because unless you lived, or you had to live right next door to the temple and be inside the temple pretty much every single day. So since I wasn't, and then especially by that time also I was like in my later years in university, so I was quite busy and I couldn't go every like Sunday to the program even. I would just go like once a month or so to Radhadesh, whatever. So I was not on the list of potential people to take initiation. And so yeah, you just accept that this life, you're just going to be a friend of Krishna, you know. So we're not going to be taking initiation. So then, yeah, you can be a friend of Krishna. You can be Bhakta Joe or something, whatever.
What were you, back to what?
Joe. Josephine. Yeah, Joe short. Yeah, nobody calls me Josephine anyway. So, yeah.
So you met Gurudev?
No, well, what happened is like all of a sudden, I can't remember why or how that happened actually, but in like a matter of 3 days, I was looking at things on the internet, was searching for things, and all of a sudden all these bad things that happened in ISKCON in the 80s came on my screen. Like there was, what disturbed me most was the changing of Srila Prabhupada's books. Like that they had been changing the books, and then there was the Gurukuls, there was the weapon deals, there was the...
Weapon deals?
Yeah, there was so many stuff. Weapon, drugs, everything, you know. And it was like one thing after the other. So in about 3 days, my whole faith was crushed. And I was like, what is this thing? It's like I thought this was real, but what is going on? And then just after 3 days, it was this one person that we... from the very beginning, actually, he was kind of like a mentor, you know, somebody that I would ask questions to, somebody that would, you know, wouldn't never see him very often, only like once every half year, and would write him letters with questions he would write back, and he would organize these programs. So he called me up just at that moment, and it turned out he'd gone to one devotee in Holland who translated previously all of Swami Prabhupada's books into Dutch, and after Swami Prabhupada left, he had taken shelter of Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Maharaj, and then after that he'd taken shelter of Srila Gurudev.
Right.
So he'd gone there, and he'd by that time got initiated by Gurudev as well.
Who is this person?
One of our godbrothers, Subal, not Subal.
My name.
Yes, no, but it's also Saka. No, it was also Subasaka. So anyway,
His name is also Subasa?
yeah. So so then
he
yeah,
come meet Gurudev.
yeah, he explained everything. He just explained how the relationship between Gurudev and Swami Prabhupada, how Param Gurudev came in, and the whole thing. And so then, and then he said like, oh, you know what, if you want, Gurudev's coming in like a month or so. If you want, you can meet him, you can take initiation. And so that was like when my ego went like, wow, I can take initiation, I can have a guru, that's cool. I didn't know anything about Guru Tattva or anything, but I just thought it was cool I could have a guru in his life. So, because Prabhupada says you need a guru, so I thought, wow, I can have a guru.
More than just a friend.
Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, so.
You met Gurudev and blew you away.
No, not really. It was very funny actually. We went just for a weekend. I think we went to the festival, and the first few lectures I couldn't understand a word of what this Gurudev was saying. So much Sanskrit in it as well, and so we were sitting there and I just couldn't hear anything, and it's kind of frustrating.
What was it?
That was in Bodegraven, in Holland. Bodegraven, 2000. Yeah.
I think I was there.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we received our Harinam initiation, and then
Was it freezing cold and raining?
yes,
We were all sleeping in tents outside.
yes,
And the hotel was supposed to be in this big barn.
yes, definitely, exactly.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, that place. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah. We then finally we got our Harinam initiation, and then maybe it was just because we sat more to the front, I don't know. Oh, and that's the other thing. I was offering my pranam while Gurudev was walking in, somebody stepped on my head. So
Stepped on your head.
I don't know if it was Gurudev, it was definitely somebody. So it was either the footers of a Vaishnava, or that we were just sitting closer by, or the initiation. But after that, I heard every single word of the class, and I could understand the whole thing.
Really?
So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that was my story.
Someone step on my head.
Yeah. Again, no, I'm not repeating it. No, jump.
Okay.
Okay.
So you took Harinam.
Yeah, okay.
And then
That's
what,
the end of the
you
story.
went to Kartik?
No.
You left everything. You went
No,
out
actually, no. That I didn't go for Kartik at all for the first year, because I had already, before I took initiation, like in ISKCON they're very organized, you know, and they start planning a trip to India like 1.5 years before you actually go. So I had been invited for that, and I had agreed, and I'd already paid for my whole ticket and everything. So that was the trip was going to take place in Kartik time 2000. So then I got initiated by Gurudev in July 2000. So then it was a whole thing, because I got initiated. Could I still go with them or not? Finally, they agreed I could still go. And the thing was, we were supposed to be. It was the last week of Kartik, and then the following 2 weeks. And the last week of Kartik, we were supposed to be in Puri. But then, lo and behold, they changed the airline schedule, and it turned out where we're coming now instead to Vrindavan the last week of Kartik. So, but the thing is, in ISKCON they make you very much afraid of India. It's like as soon as the sun sets, you don't step a foot outside. You know, it's like it's a big dangerous world out there. You stay on the ISKCON premises, you don't go anywhere else. So I was very fearful about the whole country, basically. Plus, I got pretty sick. But anyway, the whole time I was here, I kept thinking, how am I going to get to Gurudev? How am I going to get to Gurudev? How am I going to get to Gurudev? And it was just not working out. And so then finally, the last day, I just given up. And I don't know, we had dinner prashad, and I went to my room. And like an hour later, this devotee comes in and goes like, "Oh, here you are. There was a whole group of people that were leaving to go and see your Gurudev in Varshana. We were looking for you everywhere, but now they just left."
Oh.
So I cried the whole night. And the next day we went to Navadvip. So that was my first time to India. It was pretty much a separation of Gurudev, crying. And then first time I actually came for Kartik was 2002. Because, getting money together, all these obstacles, probably no security, main reason.
Okay.
So
And now,
that's it.
15 years later, here you are, doing bhajan.
Well,
You're very
pretending,
Getting transcendental realization.
wouldn't say that.
So, okay.
You're running out of questions, aren't you?
No, we're running out of time.
Okay, that's great. Fun.
So
The better.
any advice for new devotees, how they can progress in the path of bhakti, how they can become devotees?
Well, main thing I would say is sadhusanga. But to get sadhusanga, you need some sukriti, so just do as much as you can to get some good sukriti, meaning some good pious credits. And just whatever you do, just pray for sadhusanga. And then once you get in the association of the Vaishnavas, yes, that's it. You're done. You're cooked. Finished. Your life's over. You're going back to Krishna.
Finished, life's over.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Wow.
You just need to find that pure devotee that's gonna pick you up and take responsibility for you.
Sounds scary.
Well, no, it's not. It's great. It's wonderful. It's It's like at least one certainty in life, isn't it?
Okay, cool. Right, on
Okay.
that note, Didi, thank you
Hare
very
Bol.
much.
Nitai Gaur Hare Bol.
Hare
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Om